Welcome to another TechHelp Quick Queries video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. Today's the Black Friday, not on Black Friday edition. Normally we do quick queries on Fridays, but yesterday I got so busy with all the Black Friday nonsense. I don't even want to talk about it. I had Klingons over for Thanksgiving dinner, and then they found out about Black Friday. And let's just say, yes, Klingons love Black Friday. So anyways, we're a day late with the quick queries, but we're not going to stop doing them, so let's get to it. We're going to start off right with the YouTube comments today. I got a lot of Merry Christmases and Happy Holidays and all that stuff, and Happy Thanksgivings and for the videos that I posted recently. And thank you all for your well wishes. I appreciate that. My family appreciates that. As far as my staff goes, I don't really have a staff. I'm a one-man band. I do everything myself, except on the website, I do have a fantastic group of moderators. They're all volunteers, but they help me answer questions and take care of stuff, and I couldn't run the website without them. So I just want to say another thank you to those guys. But thanks to all of you who have Merry Christmas to me. Is that a thing? Can you verb that? Thank you for the Merry Christmasing. Thanks, guys. Asmi wants to know, can I get the older version of the Access 2003 lesson? Yeah, they're on my website. I think they might be on YouTube as well, but I know they're on my website. You just have to dig a little bit to find them. So here on my website, go to the home page and then go to Courses and then go to Access and then scroll down to the bottom and you'll find Access 2000, 2003. These are the older ones. These are really old, right? And here they are right here. There's Access 101. And click on the free preview link and it should take you to the lessons page because 101 is free. This whole thing's free. And it looks like the image isn't loading, but I bet you it runs. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't put images in for all of these older ones, so sometimes the thumbnail doesn't load because this is 20-some years old now. But the video should all play. Yep, there it goes.
Now that we have a tape.
Oh boy, listen to my voice from 20-some years ago. That was fun. But yeah, they're all on my website. I never take anything down. It just gets kind of buried in the menus. Xavier wants to know if my 50% off holiday sale applies to the free videos. Yes. Yes, it does. Jason says he's sharing my database video with his classmates for exams on Monday. Well, let me know how you did on your exams. I'm curious to know. Next up, Shadow Dragon said, Richard, that last picture of Vulcan Santa caused me to suddenly imagine him flying through the sky in his magical sleigh, being pulled by 12 tribbles. LOL. Well, in case you missed Vulcan Santa, there I am as Vulcan Santa. And here I am with my Tribble sleigh. I love this stupid AI stuff. Which, by the way, if you're wondering, I first tried Gemini because Gemini has been doing much, much better at producing good images than ChatGPT has been lately. So this is Gemini's first attempt. And then I said, no. I don't mind that it's cartoony. That's fine. But those aren't tribbles. Those are like little cat foxes. So then I said, make them look more like tribbles. And then I get this. It just basically removed their faces. And then I went through, a couple more attempts. I said, no, you got to get rid of their legs. So then I got this. They still kind of look like little animals, though. I went through 2 or 3 more attempts to try to get Gemini to just make them little round balls of fur, and it didn't. I guess maybe under all that fur, they've got some bodiness to them that we don't see on camera. But anyway, so then I'm like, all right, I'm going to give GPT one more try. And GPT's first attempt wasn't bad, but then I'm like, I tried to get it to make him a little bigger, maybe back up a little bit, make him more reindeer-like. Add some, background so it doesn't look like he's flying through space. So then it gave me this, and I'm like, okay, fine. I'll take it. That's not bad. I've already wasted a half an hour on this stupid project. So then I ran this through my face swap algorithm, and then we ended up with this. So that's not too bad. I'll take it. I could have done better, but that's what you get for me is flying Vulcan Santa with my Tribble sleigh. Oh boy, I'm going to look at this 10 years from now and go, what was I thinking? All right, next up, let's get to something a little more serious. Faw3511 wants to know, do you have a video about using PowerShell to create access trusted locations? Well, I don't do it with PowerShell, but in the extended cut for that trusted location video, I do show you how to create the registry keys necessary to basically create the trusted locations, because trusted folders are basically nothing more than registry keys. And so the first time you open the database, it gives you the pop-up, the security warning. It says this database isn't trusted. Do you want to trust it? You say yes, and then it reloads, and then the built-in VBA creates the trusted folder registry keys. And then after that, you never see the warning again. So that part's already handled by the database itself. Now, as far as doing it with PowerShell, I have not done it myself with PowerShell, but yes, it's possible. PowerShell can write to the registry too, so technically it could work. But honestly, there's really not much point because PowerShell is also going to trigger its own security prompts. So you might as well let Access handle it for you, right? You just load the database, give it the approval, it'll create the registry keys, and then you're done. But if you guys really want to see how to do it with PowerShell, I could certainly make a video for that. Post a comment down below if you're interested, and be specific. Sometimes you guys just say, I'm interested. But in a video like this, like a quick queries, there's 15 to 20 different questions. I don't know what you're interested in, so be specific. Say, yeah, I'd like to see how to use PowerShell to read and write to the registry. I'll make a PowerShell video. Okay? Okay, so I hope that answers your question. I'll put a link to this video down below if you want to learn how. It's an extended cut, so you got to be at least a silver member to see it. Ed just says, I literally enjoy solving problems in Access more than video games. I must be a geek. Yes, you are definitely a geek if that turns you on. I love programming more than I love playing games myself. I played a lot of games as a young man, but nothing has ever really excited me by writing a program and just that first time when you click it and you watch it work and it's like, yes, I just did it. I don't know. I love that. I'll keep doing this stuff till the day I die. Next up, Claudio talking about my locked out video where I teach you how to use the shift key to bypass the startup in case you get locked out of your database. Someone else locked it down or whatever. He says you can simply import all of the objects, the tables, queries, forms, all that stuff into another blank database. Provided, of course, it's not an ACCDE. That is also true. And also it can't have a database password or you're going to have to know that. The only caveat with this is that if it does have startup form language, hidden globals, custom properties, that kind of stuff, you're not going to get that behavior in the blank database, but for the purpose of rescuing the database, getting all the objects out of it, yes, this suggestion is right on the money. Valid approach. Carrie says, ugh, everyone at work is on Wi-Fi. There's no wired computers. Yeah. You're going to find that in a lot of offices nowadays. When I was still pretty heavy in the consulting business, wireless networking wasn't anywhere near as big as it is today. And most, office PCs at least were wired. But now you're going to find more people are wireless than not. And that does not work well with a file-based system like Access because every single computer has to touch that file. And if they've got a spotty Wi-Fi connection, you're leading to corruption. This is definitely a case where I would consider upgrading to SQL Server because, like I mentioned in that corruption video, SQL Server will act as like a guard. It'll take the request and then give you back the data that you want, but it doesn't allow that wireless device to touch the database. It's just going to ask the gatekeeper for some data, or here's what I want to put in the database, or all that kind of stuff. So I'm still working on my SQL Server course. It's coming out pretty soon. Make sure you get on my mailing list if you're interested. But if you have a wireless network, then you definitely want SQL Server as your backend. Next up, Marie says, I just tried opening the Access Beginner 1 Lesson 7 database. I got a dangerous macros warning. Yeah, this happens usually from overzealous virus software. In fact, I've had this on my website for a while now. The files that you download from my website, the ACCDB files, Access will block everything that you try to run by default unless you put it in a trusted folder, okay? Anything you download from my website is going to be completely safe. I check everything. Obviously, I've created everything, so I haven't put anything harmful in there. But feel free to open it in a non-trusted folder and hold down the shift key to bypass the startup and go through and look through all my VBA code and macros. You shouldn't find anything even remotely questionable in anything you get from my website. The problem is some antivirus programs, they treat anything with macros or anything with VBA as suspicious, even when it's completely harmless. I've got, like I said down here, I got another student that complained that a PDF handbook was flagged as having a virus. I think that most third-party virus scanners are garbage. Use Windows Defender, that's fine, but Microsoft pretty much knows what's safe and what's not safe. Defender almost never flags stuff like this as a virus. McAfee and whatever else is out there, yeah, I don't like any of those. But bottom line is, if you get it off my website, it's safe, because I'm the only one that can upload stuff there as far as files go, and I don't let anybody else put stuff on my website, and I've built everything on my website. So if you trust me, then you can trust the files on my website. If not, well, don't download it. I don't know. Honestly, a lot of these third-party antivirus companies, they love to scare people with these dramatic warnings that have nothing to do with real threats. You know, they flag perfectly normal Access, Excel, or Word files simply because they see the word macro and panic. And half the time, these virus scanner people don't even understand how Access works. And they treat every database, you know, like it's a Word document from 1997 with a real macro virus, which was a problem at one point in time, but Microsoft has made a lot of steps to prevent that stuff now. They even renamed the file extensions. So it's basically lazy pattern matching on the point of these, you know, these virus scanners. It's not real security. You know, they throw up these big red alerts to look useful, to make you think you're getting your money's worth for paying for software you don't need to pay for. But all they really do is confuse people, and they make harmless downloads look dangerous. So get rid of it. Windows security is fine. Defender, whatever Microsoft's calling it now. All right, and that's my take. Next up, Carrie again says, I'm surprised you didn't mention that how to handle searching for text that includes brackets. Well, I did mention the different special characters, and yeah, you got it right there. You know, if you got brackets in your text you want to search for, you got to put those inside of brackets. It's kind of hard to see unless I zoom in here. Hang on. There we go. That should make it a little easier to understand. So if you're searching for like bracket first name, right, inside of you have to put each of these brackets inside of brackets, right? That's because the bracket's a special character. Yeah, I know I talked about them briefly in the video, and here on the website, I've got the special characters right down here, right? £, question mark, asterisk, and the brackets are all the special characters that you have to put inside of brackets, including brackets. Yeah. Here's one from a beginner that watched my How to Create a Database video, which I appreciate. You're just starting out. You say, how do I calculate in Access? I need to know a little bit more about what you're trying to calculate. There's lots of different things you can calculate and lots of different ways you can do it. You will find that there's something called a calculated field in tables. I recommend you don't use those. All right, those are not good. Instead, I recommend you put your calculated fields in your forms or in your queries. This video will teach you what you need to know, and I will put a link to it down below in the description under the video window. So go watch this, and if you still have questions, come on back. Caroline asks, do I teach live? Well, I don't anymore. I used to years ago. In fact, when I first tried getting started doing this, I started doing some live sessions on YouTube and on my website, and that's just not my favorite forum. I prefer to do pre-recorded stuff. So email me in your questions, post them on the YouTubes, post them on my website, and I'll answer them that way. I find live sessions to be a little too chaotic online. Plus, I have a condition where I sometimes get random migraines, and it's very hard for me to promise a schedule. Like, we're going to do Thursday nights at 6 p.m. or whatever. Well, if I get one of my migraines, I can't attend. So unfortunately, I don't do a lot of live sessions. But you never know. If enough people are interested, maybe I'll put together a live session. So if you want to see a live session, post a comment down below and say, yeah, I'd like a live session. That'd be cool. Maybe I'll do like an informal Access hangout or something on my YouTube channel. But that's only if people are interested. If enough people say yes, then maybe I'll think about it. Next up, this one comes up from time to time. The status box that I have kind of confuses people. Basically, this is Irvin, Florida, and he's saying that he's doing a record set loop and using my status box to output the data. And he can't figure out why everything's coming out backwards, right? And then he said toward the end, he figured it out. The status box function is doing a push down on each row. Yeah, that's how I designed it. If you use the status box, it puts new stuff on the top. So if this is your old stuff down here, right, the new items come in on the top. And that's so you don't have to output stuff and then scroll down to the bottom so you could see it in your VBA. You just read the top stuff. So that's why it looks like it comes out backwards. But that is a common question that I get. I do explain it in the status box video, but a lot of people who don't watch this and just jump into one of my other videos don't necessarily figure that out easily, and I just don't remember to mention it in every single video, so sorry if it confused you at all. It's just a quick, simple replacement for a message box that you can just, output data to it. Jim says, any news on the Access Zoom Slider Edition? Looking forward to using that feature. Seems like it's a more complicated feature than Microsoft expected. Yeah, well, as soon as I know something, you guys will know something. I've been waiting for this too. This and more for me, the large monitor support. I got a pretty big, like 40-some inch widescreen monitor, and I can only make little tiny Access databases that fit like in a normal screen. So I'm waiting for that feature myself. As soon as I know something, I share it with you guys. If you really want to get the scoop faster, you should subscribe to Access Forever. These guys, accessforever.org, they get the news like I get my news from them half the time. So, Carl and this whole team, these guys are awesome. I'm sure they'll post information. But yeah, that happens sometimes with development. I've got projects that I started years ago that, you get a little proof of concept working and it's like, okay, I can make this work. And then you never finish it. So, or you get into it, you get your ankles, wet, and then you realize, well, to finish this whole thing, it's going to be a lot more work than I planned. Like I started building an Access to SQL Server converter to put stuff on the website years ago, and it works, proof of concept, but it's not ready for release yet. So I get it, I understand. But yeah, these guys, subscribe to their mailing list. They'll let you know as soon as it's ready, and then I'll let you know as soon as I find out from them. So okay. Next up, Gomez says, do you have similar videos on teaching C++? No, unfortunately, I don't. I know C++. In fact, I spent many years as a C developer. I actually wrote a little mini book back in the 90s on how to learn C. That was one of my first tutorials I ever wrote. I gotta find a copy of it. It's old, but it's an oldie but a goodie. I haven't had a lot of requests for teaching C++. If I did, it'd be more of like a theoretical thing, because it's a really good language to learn low-level programming with. Like Basic's good, and it's for beginners and stuff, and you can do some really good stuff with it. But if you really want to get into programming, C++ is fantastic. I think C is one of the best languages ever written. That's a whole side. I could go on a whole tangent with C. But again, post a comment down below if you want to see some C++ lessons. I'll definitely consider it. Next up, we got. Hang on a minute. Love my Google Translate. Been looking for something like this for a long time, and everything else is too complicated and doesn't work. Thank you from Argentina. Well, you are welcome from Florida. I hope things are well down there in Argentina. Next up, Ryan talking about my dynamic filtering video. He says, I could have sworn that combo boxes only pull in the list count number initially until you pull down and scroll. That might still be a dozen or more records depending on your setting, but should not pull in the entire customer list immediately. No, it really does. I know from experience, especially if you're working over a network or if you're working over the internet, it's going to pull down all those records. When you load a combo box that has a row source tied to a table or query, Access loads the entire record set for that row source immediately. When the form opens, it's going to load that whole thing. The combo box does not wait until you drop it down. And it doesn't just load the top 10 or top 20 and then fetch more when you scroll. That kind of lazy loading, that's what they call it. That's how some apps work. Websites can work like that, but that's not how Access works. List count will tell you how many items are in the list or the combo box after Access has loaded everything. So it doesn't just pull down a dozen until you scroll. It loads the entire list as soon as the form opens or the combo box is requeried. And that is exactly why large customer tables slow down unfiltered combo boxes and why my dynamic filtering method is preferred. And I've noticed this firsthand with big databases, especially if you're pulling them down over the internet. If you've got 50,000 customers, for example, pulling them down over the internet, that combo box is going to load all 50,000 records from the server. So you're going to want to do something to filter it. And if you don't believe me, if you want a little test, here's my TechHelp free template. Go to my order form, and there's a customer combo box here. Now, there's only like 30 or so customers in here, but this will show you right here. Watch. Let's hijack this button. This is customer combo, right? So we're going to hijack this button. And we're just going to say in here, message box customer combo dot list count, right? That'll tell you how many records are in that box. Now, what we're going to do is We're going to close this and just reopen it. Not going to do anything. Not going to open the box or anything. Hit the button, and there's 33 records in there, which I believe there's 33 customers, right? Yep, 33 customers. And here, I'll test this on a bigger database. All right, so this is a bigger database that I've got. It's connected to a customer table. It's got 55,000 records in it. Now, I haven't done anything except open up this form, right? Hit the button. There's 52,000 records in that combo box. Now, I don't notice too much of a slowdown because my network's pretty fast. I got a gigabit network. It's all wired. 52,000 records isn't that big of a deal. But I can tell you for a fact, if I'm pulling this down from my website connected to that customer table, and I don't filter it or do any kind of dynamic filtering ahead of time, this will take a good 10 to 15 seconds for this form to load. So that's just how Access behaves. And that's why it's important to do other techniques like I showed you in that other video to try to filter it somewhat. Don't just load all those records at once. Next up, John Clark talking about my corruption video and how I mentioned that SQL Server acts like a waiter standing next to the buffet, actually handing you stuff so that little kids don't get their grubby hands on all the food, right? Versus Access, where every user's database is touching that salad buffet basically. John says, I really like the Golden Corral-esque analogy and plan to plagiarize it shamelessly. Two things. First of all, I really miss Golden Corral. Where I live here in Cape Coral, Florida, we used to have a Golden Corral, and then it closed after COVID or during COVID. And it's just gone now, and I miss it. And second, you could plagiarize it, but don't plagiarize it shamelessly. Plagiarize it with full shame. All right? Be ashamed that you're plagiarizing. And remember what I always say, if you're stealing from one source, it's plagiarism. If you steal from multiple sources, it's research. Like when I make a new video, I don't just take stuff from one book. I got a whole shelf full of books that I steal stuff from. So... But to answer your question, yes, if you're using a remote desktop like Citrix, okay, or any remote, I use Google Remote Desktop, Chrome Remote, whatever they call it. And when I'm traveling, for example, I will Chrome Remote Desktop into my PC that's here in the office, and then the PC in the office talks to the server. So that definitely helps because now your PC in the office is the grubby little hand talking to the server. So if you got 10 people that have workstations in their office, let's say, and your network is good, they're all wired, their workstations have no problems talking to the server, even if you don't have an actual SQL server, just the Access server, let's call it. And that's fine. If they remote desktop into their PCs in the office, they should be fine because that's just basically as if they're sitting down at their computer, but it's a remote connection. So yeah, and I don't see any problems with that. In fact, you can use that. You can use a service like Access Database Cloud, which you can connect to the same way. You put your Access database there, and everyone, it's basically like a remote desktop into that. That works fine too. This is great if you don't want to necessarily host your database in your office, but you got people around the world. They're essentially remote desktoping into the database. But yeah, and keep those grubby little hands away from the food. There's nothing worse than seeing some little kid touching the Next up, I had to read this one a couple of times before I got it, and then I realized what video he's commenting on. He's like, for what stands the BE in backend? It's the backend, right? Okay, once you read it a couple times, it makes sense. Yes, BE stands for the backend, which is essentially the database that contains the tables and possibly some queries, right? The front end is all the stuff that you use, your forms, reports, your macros, your module, your VB. The BE, your backend, is the tables and stuff. So yes. Next up, Peter says, this never-ending fitness database story made me end my subscription to the channel and end my membership. Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I've tried to push this forward that the fitness database is really just a vehicle to teach access techniques, to teach tips and tricks. It just happens to be in a database where I'm covering fitness, but it could be a customer database. It could be an order entry database. All these tips and techniques are valid for any database project. And I say this at the beginning of most of the videos. It doesn't matter if you care about tracking calories and stuff. The stuff I'm teaching is valid for any database, but I guess you didn't catch that. So if you chose to cancel, hey, that's totally your call, but you're the one missing out on the good stuff. So if you ever decide to come back, the lessons will still be here. And I'm still going to continue this series because there's lots of cool tips and tricks, and a lot of it's stuff that I can't just throw in a brand new blank database, right? A lot of it's stuff that you kind of have to have a built, established database to do what I'm doing, right? Whether you're dealing with customers or orders or inventory, I can't just throw some of the stuff in a beginner database. So if you don't want to stick with it, I get it. But, I'm throwing, I think I'm throwing way too much stuff in this database. So, but yeah, sorry to see you go. Hope to see you back in the future. And by all means, if other members feel this way, I want to know. Give me your feedback. I always say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? This is the first member that I've heard from that decided to cancel because I'm making too many fitness database videos. So if you feel the same way, I want to hear from you. Post a comment, or if you want to send me an email in private, that's fine too. But so far, this is the only complaint I've gotten. I like the fitness database series. I'm having fun with it. I'm getting lots of positive feedback from people on it. So, okay. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. Just like I'm not my sense of humor doesn't fit with everybody, but there's plenty of other Access channels out there if you guys don't like me. So, bye. Next up, we got Ryan, who says, in your next video, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Excel's Power Query. How much you've used it, what you've used it for, your dislikes and likes. I've used it for data cleaning when scraping part numbers and descriptions from PDFs and then importing them into Access. It seems to be a bit of a bridge between going full Access and a bit above using Excel as a small database. Have you dabbled in M language? Very good question. I've used Power Query here and there. But honestly, if I'm going to be doing anything beyond simple spreadsheet cleanup, I'm going straight to Access. That's my toolkit. That's my wheelhouse, right? I think Power Query is great for people who live in Excel. Like, I got clients still that they live and breathe Excel. I've tried to get them into Access, and they're like, no, I'm good. That's okay. And, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I've been using Access since the 90s, so that's where I'm most comfortable. And I do plan on adding some Power Query lessons when I overhaul my Excel series soon. I've been saying soon for a while, but as soon as I can. But it is a very useful tool. Lots of people rely on it. But for me, if the job needs real querying, relationships, validation, automation, all that stuff, I'm firing up Access. M language, I have not used it much. For those who don't know, it's basically the scripting language behind Power Query. Anytime you build steps in Power Query, Excel is actually generating M code under the hood. Most people never see it, but you can open up the advanced editor and it's in there. Now, with that being said, there are some times I might fire up Power Query. It does have the edge over Access on a couple of things. For example, you mentioned cleaning and scraping. So yeah, if you got, messy CSVs, PDFs, that kind of stuff, it can do a real good job of splitting columns, merging, trimming, all that stuff. But to be honest, and I'm not going to say this too loud, lately, if I get stuff like that, I just give it to AI, have ChatGPT clean it up. It's actually easier than using Power Query. Pivot tables, for example. Access can do cross-tab queries and stuff like that, but Power Query and Excel handle that much, much better. Access is a little clunky with that. But that's more of a reporting kind of thing. I generally find that I use Access for storing my data entry, all that stuff, the automation. But if I've got a set of data and I want to fiddle with it and tweak it and chart it, I use Excel for that. And so sometimes I'll pull Power Query out for that. Power Query is better with working with files in batches. For example, you can load multiple files from a folder, combine them, standardize them, spit out one nice clean table. Whereas Access, you can do it, but it's a little more manual. Power Query has also got some great built-in connectors for a bunch of web services that Access you can do it with VBA, but Power Query makes it easier. Stock information, for example. So yeah, Power Query definitely has some little niche tools that are better, but Access still wins for anything relational. Validation forms, multi-user access, automation, front-end logic, any kind of reporting beyond a basic spreadsheet, transactions, real database workflows, that kind of stuff. Power Query is a great data prep tool. Like if you get stuff and like on a one-by-one basis, you want to, okay, I got to change this a little bit so I can get it into my Access database. Then yeah, that's Power Query is great for that. It's basically good for cleaning and shaping messy data. But again, I kind of have been relying on AI lately for that too. So I use Power Query less and less as time goes on. But I'm going to do some lessons on it eventually. But excellent question. Thank you very much for that one. Next up, Namish asks, can we have multiple template data? Now, he's talking about the fitness database series, which again, I cover lots of cool stuff in the fitness series. In fitness level 60, I teach you how to save template data. And I'm doing like your daily meal prep, right? So you could plan out your breakfast, lunch, whatever. But these templates can be anything you want them to be. It could be, a list of customers for classes. It could be an order configuration. You got the same set of products that you always put on orders. It could be, you name it. It doesn't have to be fitness stuff. It can be anything. So I teach you how to take your food log, right? And then you can save and load templates. So that you, like me, for example, I've got my workout days and my not workout days. So I know how many calories I can eat on each day. But it could be different computer configurations or different whatever. But to answer your question, Namish, that is exactly what I cover in the extended cut for this. In the regular database, I teach you how to save and load a template. So you can set up your day, save it, and then any other time you want to, you can load it. That's in the free video. And then in the next video, in 61, I teach you how to load that template. And then in the extended cut, I teach you how to do multiple templates. So you can see like in the screenshot there, I teach you how to save multiple templates. So you can set one up and then save it, and then you can load up a different one. And so that's in the extended cut for the members. Finally, today got an email from Armin Stein over at J Street Technology. Access Day 2026 is officially on the calendar. So save the date. It's happening March 27th, somewhere in the Redmond, Washington area. They always schedule it around the MVP Summit. And I went to last year's event. It was a great time. Lots of solid presentations, and even some folks from the Access team at Microsoft showing off what they're working on. This will be my third time attending Access Day. I even went to one way back. I think it was 2014 in Denver was the first one I attended. Now, just to be clear, I'm not presenting. I'm just going as an attendee. I'm hanging out like everybody else. But there's always lots of good info, good people. Armin is still finalizing the speaker list, and they're planning an optional dinner after the conference so we can all hang out and talk nerdy Access stuff. So if you're in the area or you can make the trip, definitely mark your calendar, and I will share more details as soon as I get them. All right, so don't forget to stop by my website, check out what's new. Make sure you stop by and check out my captain's log. You can read about my Thanksgiving dinner with the Klingons. Check out my merch store. Get your mouse pads here, get your hats, get your sweaters, get your teddy bear, whatever you want. All right, remember, if you said it, you got to forget it. My Access Beginner Level 1 book's now available on Amazon. Check that out. And that's about going to do it. So, that's going to do it for your quick queries video for today. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button right now and give me a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. And make sure you click that bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever I post a new video. Do you need help with your Microsoft Access project? Whether you need a tutor, a consultant, or a developer to build something for you, check out my Access Developer Network. It's a directory I put together personally of Access experts who can help with your project. Visit my website to learn more. Any links or other resources that I mentioned in the video can be found in the description text below the video. Just click on that Show More link right there. YouTube's pretty good about hiding that, but it's there. Just look for it. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, tables, all that stuff. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? And if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. That's it. And it's free for members of my YouTube channel at any level. Speaking of memberships, if you're interested in joining my channel, you get all kinds of awesome perks. Silver members get access to all of my extended cut TechHelp videos, and there's hundreds of them by now. They also get one free beginner class each month, and yes, those are for my full courses. Gold members get the previous perks plus access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my TechHelp videos. Plus, you get access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions and all kinds of source code that I use. And gold members get one free expert class every month after completing the beginner series. Platinum members get all of the previous perks, plus they get all of my beginner courses, all of them from every subject, and you get one free advanced or developer class every month after finishing the expert series. And you can become a diamond sponsor and have your name listed on the sponsor page on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time.